Hi, I'm Allie. Join me in making this quick silver necklace. If you look and watch in the video, you'll see some helpful hints how to attach and make this lay correctly if you love the asymmetrical design. If you don't, keep watching because I'll give hints of how to create just a single design necklace as well. So to begin, I'm going to take my 2 hammered rings here, and those are 20 millimeter, and 2 of my 4 millimeter round Larimar Jade beads. I've got my Potomac's drops here, the Helix beads, as well as the Potomac pearls that we're working with 11OC beads. Again, if you need the full materials list, check out the description below. If you're on a phone, click that little down arrow. You can see all of that information there. So the first thing we're going to do is join our 2 hammered rings for a little bit more of an extended lariat design. I have on here some .006 beige thread with a size 10 needle. And I'm going to be doing figure 8s to connect these. So you want to think the Larimar is going to sit in the middle here, and we're going to do basically a figure 8 worth of beads to connect. So because I'm knotting everything on, I'm just holding the end of my thread here, and I'm going to add a total of 12 beads onto my needle. So there's my 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Once those 12 beads are onto the needle, I'm going to let them fall down toward my hand, again holding this. If you want to use a stop bead, you can. That's fine. And what we're going to do is get ready to tie this to our first loop. So to tie to our loop, I'm going to drop the ring onto the end of the thread here. Not overthink it. And we're just literally going to tie a loop. What that's going to do, as you can see, is create a little seed bead loop connecting the 2 rings. So going to the end of the thread here, right over left, left over right, just doing a nice simple tie. We'll go in then and reinforce this as well. But what we're going to do now is to create that little figure 8, add on your 4 millimeter Larimar bead, and you can choose to keep or to use other beads as well too. Keep that in mind for these nice simple designs. And then once again repeating that 12. So we're going to go in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all right, and now that we've got those 12 beads on, let them shift down on my thread. We're going to grab our next loop. Sew through our loop. So back through that Larimar bead. Back through our blue bead here. Give a nice pull and see how that figure 8 keeps those 2 together. Now we're going to reinforce this, and we're going to go back through this row of our 12 beads that we did originally. You want to make sure that you don't miss any beads as you're connecting them on. And sewing through. Once you're out those 12 beads, then we're going to go back up to and through the Larimar bead. And that gives us an opportunity to pull this thread a little bit tighter, making sure there's no loops between that figure 8 there. I want you to reinforce our thread and needle through the top loop here. And then very simply, once you have your thread and needle down through all of these beads, we're going to bring our threads together, simply tying a knot, and then burning off the thread ends. So down through we go. Once again through that Larimar and out right after that gemstone. Take our needle and thread now, because the thread ends right there. You're just going to tie, tie again, and that is our first connection. We're going to do 2 connections, and we're going to repeat the exact same thing. So that's our first 2 connections, 1 more connection, 12 beads on one, 12 beads on the other. So once you're done with that beautiful connection point here where we have those 2 loops of that figure 8, you can do 1 if you want to. We're going to get ready to add some fringe down on the design. Now I'm going to do it very, very simply in this same technique that you just did. So you don't need a lot of thread or needle skills for this. 12 beads go on, and then I've put my helix, my round, my pearl, my crystal on. 1 11OC bead in between each with an 11OC bead at the end. I'm going to put the end of my thread through the ring. Take my thread and needle now, go back up through, skipping over the last 11 that I just added there. We're going to go back up through the crystal, seed bead, pearl. So we're going back through that line of our fringe that's hanging down. And then once I'm through that line of fringe there, through all 4 of those beads with the 11s between them, I'm going to pull that up nice and tight towards my seed beads. I don't want to waste a ton of thread. Take my thread ends, simply tie them together. This is oh so easy to do. This is also a great design to use some of your leftover materials as well from either previous boxes or completed projects. You know, when you have just 1 or 2 things left over and you're not sure what to do with it, this is a great design for that. Make sure also you can comment below and give your feedback on things that you've done in this same technique. So there we have it. Very simply, again, I'm not even going to worry about reinforcing, putting another strand of thread through because it's fairly lightweight. Your thread burner or your threads up is going to be a great friend for this design. Those go down just like I burned at the top. And now I have my first little hanging down fringe piece. I'm going to do this now 2 more times, creating just longer pieces of fringe as I go on, like the sample here, adding them to the base ring of this design. So to begin the next step of the design, I've already attached it so you didn't have to watch me string beads for 15 minutes. And just like we did with the original loop, I made a loop of 12, tied that into a knot, and continued with about 5 feet of our beading thread with a very simple pattern. So this is connecting to our first ring. Again, 12 beads go on. And then I have a pattern of my Helix, Gemstone, pearl, and then my drop, followed by 5 11-0 seed beads as a spacer, and then a Helix, 1 11-0, and my Gemstone. 5 more seed beads as a spacer, and then I start to repeat that pattern, which that pattern is mimicked from the drops in our original design. So it's going kind of full circle around the piece. Now we are going to be connecting to the second ring now with the end of the other side. So I've gotten to the other side here, and you're going to need this long enough to go over your head since it does slip over your head here. So you're probably going to want about 24 inches worth of beads to go over top of the head. Skipping over that first ring that we are currently connected to, you're going to skip to the second ring. So through the second ring, after those 12 beads are added on, take your thread through. This is enough thread for our second strand. And we're just going to once again tie a knot. So the ease of this project and the amazing thing is I'm going to be really excited to see everybody's designs because there are so much included, especially if you've gotten the box already and you have these supplies, to make this your own. So tightening this up here, we'll make sure we don't have any extra thread showing throughout the rest of the project. Just tie some overhand knots and get this thread tied off. Once you have this thread tied off, just like we did previously, you're going to go in, burn off that thread edge, and then if you want to, you can go ahead and do a second strand. I'm going to hold up and show you how this first strand looks in case you want to just stop at one or continue on with the second strand to get more of that asymmetrical kind of pop. So if you want that single strand asymmetrical look for this long necklace, and again, you have so many beads, you can make it down opera length. If you want to do 32 inches, you can certainly do that length as well. I'm going to continue on now, so stay tuned and watch and show you how I'm going to do the second strand and the pattern for that one as I go in and attach to the top ring and the bottom ring as well. If you've continued on to the second side, I've done a pattern of 5 seed beads in between 3 out of the 4 of my beads. So I have the pearl, helix, gemstone, and then repeating pearl, helix, gemstone over and over and over again. I'm making the second strand the exact same length as the first strand. And once again, making a loop of 12, tying that off, continuing on down here to the bottom, 12 after my last beads here. I'm going to take them through the loop here. And if you want to, you can take your beads up and your needle up through the next gemstone, up through the next couple beads, to make it a little bit easier on yourself to tie the knot. I'm going to come with my color beige, so this is kind of a helpful little hint here at the end, and pull that out near the pearl and right after it, because that way that color is going to match exactly as I go in and tie off this thread. If you need a nice little knot to work with, if you're working with thread maybe for the first time, you can also do this with beading cable or beading wire. You're going to go in, make a loop there, sew through the loop once, sew through the loop twice. It's going to get you a nice little sewer's knot, give a nice tight pull, sew away from the knot. This is good bead weaving knowledge here. And then burn off that extra thread, burning down towards the project. That's going to finish up your liquid silver design here. And I want to show you then how it's going to hang as well. So you have a nice design. There's so many variations of it. Please, please, please comment and let us know how you varied it. That really helps out the amazing community of beaders that are watching this video. Thanks again so much for joining me in this quick silver necklace. Remember, if you haven't yet checked out the supplies, because you don't have the bead box, you can check out information as well as the supply list in the description below. If you're on an iPad or phone, you can check that little down arrow box right under the video here, and you can get all those details. Thanks again so much for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next video.